All right, so good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of our Aquariums Online Academy. My name is Talia. I'm from our education department. I'm excited to share a little bit of my morning with you. So today, my friends, we're going to be talking about sharks. We're going to talk a little bit about sort of what makes a shark a shark. How do we know when we're looking at a shark that is a shark? Um, Explore some different types of sharks because as you can probably tell even just from our little video behind me, sharks come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. So we'll try to explore a couple different types of sharks, and then we're also going to be talking about some conservation efforts that are going on with our sharks as well. So that's kind of our game plan for this morning. We're excited to have you join us. Now, if you have questions during our program, you are welcome to ask them. There's a couple of ways you can do that depending on when you're watching the program. If you're watching this live on Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock, you can text those questions in. That number down below is right there, 562 286 1838. So you're welcome to text questions in live if you're joining us at 9 o'clock on Wednesday morning. If you're watching this later, or if you thought of a question later, you're like, oh, I really wish I asked Miss Talia that, you can still ask the question. We just ask that you email us instead. And that email is down below at live@lbaop.org. So those are two ways to interact with us, depending on when you're watching our program. So before we get too far underway, I wanted to wake up our scientist brain a little bit and try to make some observations, try to see what do we notice about our sharks. Does anything stand out to us? Does anything surprise us? So I'm going to get out of the way for a moment so you can see more sharks. And we'll try to make some observations, try to see what do we notice about our sharks? Or do we see anything that maybe might indicate what makes a shark a shark? And you're welcome to text in those observations too if you're noticing anything in particular about our sharks. Definitely noticing a little bit more about how they swim. Here comes one of our sandbar sharks cruising by. And a blacktip reef shark. I also notice we have a ray that is taking the best nap ever in the corner there. All right, so some things that I noticed about our sharks is I started to notice, I think the one thing that stood out to me at least, was a little bit about how they swim. So they swim using their fins, and having fins is definitely one of the things that makes a shark and a fish a fish. Sharks are a type of fish. They differ in what their skeleton is made out of. So they have a skeleton made out of cartilage, if that's a word that's familiar to you. That's the squishy stuff that's on the end of your nose and the tips of your ears and the ends of your ears. And that makes them a little bit more flexible. So you might notice that they're swimming even differently than some of the other fish we have in our exhibit. So these fish have bones in their body like we do, but the sharks and even the ray who's going for a swim down that way as well, they move a lot more side to side, a lot more flexible. And that is thanks to that cartilaginous skeleton that they have. So they makes their body kind of switch a little bit more side to side instead of moving a little bit more structured like we do with bones in our body. So that's going to mean that their fins are going to be helping them out in different ways. So you might notice with some couple of these sharks going in front of our camera here that most of their push when they're swimming, most of their push is from their fin in the back, from their tail or their caudal fin. They're going to swish that back and forth. These are some of our bamboo sharks doing a nice little swim too. They're going to swish that back and forth just like we kick our feet when we want to move forward when we're swimming in the water. They're going to swish their tail back and forth. That's going to give them a lot of their push moving forward. Now, what about their fins on the side? They do have fins on the side. They're not flapping them up and down like a bird. That would be kind of funny. But they're going to have them nice and straight, kind of more like airplane wings. And maybe they'll use it to steer a little bit. You might see one of them kind of tweak this way or tweak that way if they want to go right or left. But for the most part, they're going to have them nice and sturdy, a little bit more like an airplane wing. Now, there are a couple other fins hanging out for our shark. We also have our fin on the top. I know that when I think about a shark, that's probably one of the first things that comes to mind is this fin up here. This is a great picture of our gray reef shark. But this fin up here is their dorsal fin. And that, along with some of the other fins they have another little dorsal fin up here. They have some fins on the bottom here. That's going to help a lot with their balance. So if you look at a shark's body, it kind of reminds me a little bit of a football. It has kind of an oval shape, but it kind of ends in some points. And when you throw a football, it kind of spirals in the air, right? I'm not a very good football thrower, but if you throw it like you're supposed to, it kind of makes a spin in the air. And because a shark has a fin on the top, that means a shark isn't going to be spinning as much in the water when they swim. So this fin up top, this dorsal fin, helps them keep balanced, helps them make sure they're not tilting too much this way or too much that way as they go forward in the water. So their fins are definitely a thing that makes a shark, definitely a great adaptation, or a thing that's special, that's in them, on them, to help them out in their home, helps them swim in the water. What are some other things that we notice about our sharks that help them out in the water? This is actually a great picture of, I'm keeping Miss Tiffany on her toes here. She's changing all the magic behind me, by the way, so that's my friend in the studio today. But let's take a moment and look at some other adaptations that our sharks have. So we talked about their fins. We talked a little bit about their skeleton. That makes them a lot more flexible. And I noticed too that our sharks, right by their caudal fin here, they have, excuse me, not their caudal fin, their pectoral fins, pardon me. They have some lines here. And those are the shark's gills. So they breathe in the water with gills, just like we breathe in the air with lungs. So that's how they get the oxygen out of the water. This is a great close-up of our zebra shark breathing with their gills. Now you might be noticing in this picture, like, hold on, that shark's on the bottom. And that shark's like still, it's not swimming around. A lot of times we think, ooh, sharks need to swim to breathe. Some sharks do. And that movement through the water, that's what's opening up their gills for them and allowing the water to pass through. But other sharks don't have to, like the zebra shark. The zebra shark's just sitting on the bottom, and as you can see, their gills are working just fine. They're pumping, they're doing what they need to do. And that is thanks to a little extra part they have, which is this hole right there, right by their eye. And that's called a spiracle, and that helps them kind of open and close their gills a little bit more automatically. And that helps them, or allows them to be able to take a rest on the bottom, and little gills are going to be working just fine. So these sharks don't need to swim to breathe. There's only a couple, it just depends kind of what their gills look like, whether they need to swim to breathe versus they can take a nap just fine if they have that spiracle right there. So gills is another great adaptation that makes a shark a shark. Now I know a lot of times when I think about sharks, I think about their teeth, I think about their little things in there that's going to help them eat, and different sharks have different teeth to help them do different things. This is a great view again of kind of their gills. Most sharks have 5 gills. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Some sharks have 6, some sharks have 7, but most have 5, like this white shark that we see here. But yeah, a lot of times I think about their teeth in their mouth, and I like to think of their teeth in their mouth as doing different jobs. They kind of act like different tools, just like we have different tools that we use at the dinner table. Our shark's teeth have different tools to help them eat their food depending on the type of shark they are and the type of food that they're trying to eat for a snack. Ooh, that is, Miss Tiffany, can you remind me, is that a Port Jackson shark? Port Jackson shark. They have some pretty interesting teeth. They're not super pointy like I might expect to see. They're not super like sharp triangles. But they're kind of in between. They're kind of almost a little bit flat too. Um, and that allows these types of sharks to eat things that are hiding in the sand. They might eat some clams and some crabs and some worms. This is what a part Jackson shark looks like, by the by. It looks really similar to some of our little shallow water sharks that we have off of our coast. They're going to be munching on all sorts of yummy things, kind of hiding towards the bottom, hiding in the sand. And those not quite sharp, but not quite flat teeth allow them not only to kind of pick up some food, but kind of crush it as well, especially if they're trying to get into something with a hard shell like a clam or a crab. Do we have a good picture, Miss Tiffany, of say like the sand tiger shark's teeth? Ooh, we do. Fantastic. All right, you're like, I'm ready. So this is some different type of teeth there. This is our picture of our sand tiger shark that we used to have here at the aquarium. They have some pretty long pointy teeth, which is great for eating slippery fish. You might notice that some of them are kind of curved backwards, and it helps them kind of act almost like a little container or a little cage to kind of help them catch on to some slippery fish. And yeah, you might also notice that, excuse me, I lost my train of thought there. They have some rows of teeth as well. We can have one row, right? That's it. They have rows and rows and rows and rows of teeth. And that's not so that can like catch like 3 times as much food. That's actually how they replace their teeth. So we have 2 sets of teeth in our life. We have our baby teeth, we lose those. We have our grown-up teeth, and that's it. No more teeth for us. But sharks have rows and rows and rows and rows of teeth ready and waiting to go if their teeth get lost. So ours are set in bone. Ours are pretty sturdy. Remember that a shark's skeleton is made out of cartilage. So their teeth are actually pretty loose in their mouth, even though they're still set in gum, like ours are. So they can just bite in the breakfast and lose a tooth. But they have these rows and rows of teeth to help them out. So when one tooth gets lost, the next one rolls up to take its place, the next one behind it, it moves forward a little bit more, and so on and so forth. So one shark can lose up to 30,000 teeth in their lifetime. Oh my goodness, they can lose a whole lot of teeth. So that's another great adaptation they have to help them out in the ocean. So let's explore a little bit about a couple different sharks, just to get into a little bit more specifics about them before I get into some of their conservation stories. Miss Tiffany, can we jump into the zebra shark a little bit? You can surprise me. All right, so ta-da! This is a zebra shark. This is a tropical species of shark that's found in some of our warmer waters off of, say, like Australia, Indonesia, kind of that side of the Pacific Ocean, a little bit warmer than what we have for off of our coast, at least here in California. And a lot of times when I say, like, look, friends, it's a zebra shark, people will look at that picture and be like, are you sure? Maybe not quite what you expected in terms of the pattern on their body here. So when we think about zebras, we think about an animal that's like black and white stripes, right? And I'm looking at this shark and it has a whole bunch of polka dots on it. But what they were named after what they look like when they are babies. So when they're babies, it's so cute. They have black and white stripes, just like a zebra. If you're wondering what this thing is here, this is a little pole that one of our aquarists was using to give the shark a little snack. And I think he has a little bit of shrimp right there, munching on some shrimp. So this is what they look like when they're babies. So scientists saw that and said, "Aha! This is a zebra shark," and that allowed them to probably blend into their home a little bit more as they were little. But as they grew, the stripes stretched and stretched and stretched and stretched and stretched, and became the polka dots that we see when they're grown up. So when they're teenagers, they kind of look kind of in between. You can kind of still see the outline of those stripes, especially by their head here, but the stripes are kind of stretching into polka dots. So they don't look too much like zebras when they're older, but they definitely look like zebras when they're babies, and that's kind of what they get their name from. Now, we saw them earlier with their spiracle here and their gills. Their teeth are actually pretty cool too. They're not kind of facing forward like ours are, like some of the other sharks we've seen that might be getting food a little bit more in front of them. Their teeth are a little bit more below their mouth. And that's going to allow them to get some of their favorite foods. Just like the Port Jackson shark. Bleh, Port Jackson shark. Oh, look at that beautiful smile that we saw earlier. So their teeth are not quite sharp, but not quite flat, and that allows them to not only catch kind of some meatier snacks, but also they're going to allow them to sort of kind of crush open things that are in hard shells. Now we have a little bit more time together. And again, friends, if you have any questions, you are welcome to ask questions during this program. If there's something that you're curious about, if you're wondering about, you're welcome to text those questions in. Again, that number down below is 562-286-1838. Please feel free to text in questions if you have questions. Happy to answer them. Ooh, actually, before I move on to conservation, I forgot about one super cool adaptation. And you could maybe notice it a little bit since we're getting some really up close views of the shark's body here. You might notice their skin has some really interesting texture to it. It kind of almost looks scaly, almost maybe a little bit armory. And that's because they not only have teeth in their mouth, they have teeth on their skin as well. So they're called dermal denticles, and they're kind of a specialized scale. Ooh, this is kind of what it looks like up close. A lot of friends think that it looks like kernels of corn or a pineapple or snake skin or something. These are specialized scales that help protect the shark, and different sharks have different sort of sizes and shapes to what their scales look like. They're called dermal denticles, and that kind of makes sense if you think about that word dermal, like skin, like dermatologist, denticle, like dentist, teeth. So that's another cool adaptation that sharks have to help them out is their home. As their skin's a little bit tough, helps kind of protect them from bumps and scrapes and bruises and things like that. So let's jump into some conservation stories with our sharks. So sharks are facing some challenges out in the ocean. Sometimes, conservation, if you want to know how to spell that. They're facing some challenges, right? They are sometimes overfished themselves, sometimes for their fins or for their meat. So that's definitely a challenge that is facing them. And sharks, get out of the way of this tail here, and then fish. Sharks reproduce really slowly, so sometimes they're being taken out at a rate that doesn't give them enough time to reproduce that next generation. So overfishing is definitely a challenge that sharks face. They're also being affected by climate change. The ocean water is warming, and that's going to shift things in their environment. Maybe that shifts where their food goes. Maybe that shifts the habitat themselves, like the corals are very sensitive to warmer water. So if the fish that they eat don't have a home, then the sharks might need to go somewhere to find another source of food or another area where that food might be hanging out. Ooh, I just noticed our turtle is going for a swim too. That's a nice lucky view of that. So those are definitely some challenges that our sharks face. So what can we do to help out sharks in the world? There's a couple different things we can do. The first thing I think that helps out sharks is to learn more about them, right? To get kind of a handle on what's important to these sharks. Are there important maybe breeding grounds or feeding grounds that I want to protect? If you've heard of a marine protected area, it's kind of like having a state park underwater. There's definitely quite a few of those around the ocean that are protecting important sites, but some of them might be even just shark focused as well. I believe there's one off of the island of Palau that is specifically a shark sanctuary to help out these sharks. So definitely learning more about them can help us make better decisions for those conservation efforts. So how do we study sharks? What can we do? And one of the ways we can do that, there's a group out there called FinPrint that uses these things called BRUVs. And BRUVs are baited remote underwater video. And they are kind of what you're seeing in the corner of your screen here. There's a pole, and at the base of, or excuse me, at the end of the pole, there is a bag of snacks. And this is kind of a tripod they can set up in the ocean. There's a camera attached to it. And that allows them to set these up in reefs and other places all over the world to just kind of see what's out there, what types of sharks are there, what types of fish are there, how many are there, what are they doing, and that can get a little bit of a better sense of an idea of kind of what's going on in these reefs, and then we can kind of make those better conservation stories. And then here at the aquarium, we're actually part of that story too. Some of our volunteers can even review a lot of this footage to help these scientists out to get a better idea of kind of what is going on at these reefs. And by studying these videos, and remember, this is not like a scientist sitting there taking notes in the water there. They can let these run for hours and hours and hours, and we can maybe learn like, oh, I never noticed this species of shark lived in this area. Or maybe, ooh, I never realized this species of fish lays their eggs here. And we can, again, get that information to help us make better conservation decisions for these sharks and for our oceans. So definitely learning more will help us help out sharks, help out our oceans. We can also think about doing things that can help out their food sources as well. One of the important roles that sharks play in the ocean, especially sharks that eat fish, is that they tend to go after fish that are weak or sick or injured. Ooh, gonna get out of the way so you can see sharks eating snacks. And what that's doing is it's actually help keeping fish populations healthy. So the sturdier, healthier fish are the ones that are going forward to make those future generations. Yeah, like when they poop. Anyways, I'm getting distracted by cute sharks. By making sure that the healthier fish are the ones that are going forward, they're helping keep fish populations in balance. They're not too many, they're not too little. And again, the healthier ones are the ones that are making the future generations. Sharks play a critical role in helping keep that kind of fish population in balance. And we can help out sharks too by eating sustainable seafood as well. It's definitely another way that we can help out sharks by making sure there's enough fish out there for us to eat and for our sharks to eat as well. Now, another thing to help out our sharks is definitely to share what we know, right? The more we know about sharks, the more we share that with others, the more we gotta share that enthusiasm, get excited about something. That helps us, I think, care better for our animals, and again, help make those better conservation decisions as well. So again, these are some beautiful pictures of some of our sharks hanging out at the reefs as well. So again, really important to help keep those reefs sort of in balance, especially for some of our sharks that do like to eat fish. And again, if you have any questions, friends, we do have a couple more minutes together. You're welcome to text in those questions. Happy to answer them. So please let me know if you have any questions about our sharks. But we learned a lot about sharks today. I hope you had some fun exploring our sharks. We explored a little bit about kind of what makes a shark a shark. We went over some of those adaptations that they have that are special things that are in them or on them to help them survive. We looked at their gills, we looked at their fins, how they're moving. We looked at the teeth in their mouth and on their skin with those dermal tentacles. We explored some sharks a little bit more in detail, especially our zebra shark, who doesn't quite look like what we think they do when they're grown-ups, but definitely have those black and white stripes when they are little, or excuse me, when they're little, and then they turn into polka dots. And then we talked a little bit about some of the challenges that sharks are facing, as well as what are some things we can do to help out our sharks. So hope you guys had fun exploring some sharks with me. We have a little bit more time together, so I think I'm going to go explore one more shark. We'll have a couple more minutes to explore. We have some of our rays going for a swim over here, and this one's still taking the best nap in the world right over there. I think it shifted just a tiny bit, but still taking the best nap. That's okay. Let's explore one of the biggest sharks out there, and let's take a look a little bit at a whale shark. Oh my goodness. So, do you see any teeth in that shark's mouth? I don't see teeth like I was expecting. I don't see triangle teeth again. Um, I don't know if I really see any teeth in there, huh? So how does this shark eat if we don't see any teeth in their mouth? Now this shark is pretty big. This shark is bigger than a school bus. It's, I want to say, it must be like over 60 feet. Does that sound right, Miss Tiffany? Yeah. It is a big shark. It is way bigger than the room that I am in. And I think it's really neat that the biggest shark out there eats really tiny food. They eat plankton. They might eat some krill, which is a little shrimp that's about the size of your fingernail there. And they're going to do that by using their gills. They have special little filters and combs in their gills, and that allows them to open their mouth nice and wide, go through the water, and then their little combs in their gill, they're going to help kind of filter to catch the little plankton in the water, and then they're going to gulp, swallow it down. So I think it's super cool that some of the biggest sharks out there eat really tiny food. Do you mind switching back, Miss Tiffany, to that picture we saw earlier? I just wanted to point out in case you were wondering. Oh, the one with the fish on its head. That one. If you're wondering what that is, that's a remora. That is a different type of fish, and that is stuck to the whale shark with like a little suction cup, and they kind of get a free ride around the ocean. They also get to eat the whale shark's leftovers, which is pretty cool. So that's what that is, in case you were wondering. Now, if you want to see what their teeth look like, we actually do have a model of one on my wall over here. So I'm going to go get it. So stand by if you just want to see what it looks like. Ooh, Miss Tiffany put up a great picture of some whale sharks swimming. Ooh, and there's some more remoras stuck to that one's tail. Very cool. Some of these other fish that are swimming by, these are fish called trevally, and those are pretty big fish. Those get about like the length of, probably about the length of my arm. So just for size comparison, that is a big shark that we are looking at. I love their polka dots too. All right, my friends, are you ready to see what their teeth look like? All right. Ta-da! 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 It's big, so I could definitely fit my head through it. Again, they're gonna eat little teeny tiny food, and they do have little like teeny tiny little teeth kind of here and up here, but they're gonna be, again, mostly using their kind of the combs in their gills to help them out. So that's what a whale shark's teeth look like. It's pretty neat. So again, my friends, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I hope you had fun exploring different types of sharks with me, and learning a little bit more about some of the conservations out there, efforts that are out there to help them out. So again, thank you so much for joining us this morning. If there are any school groups watching with us, teachers, if you wouldn't mind, you're welcome to text in how many students are watching with you, just so we can get a little bit of a better gauge on what our viewership is for these programs. It definitely helps us out to help better serve our communities with these programs. So again, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Have a great rest of your day, and I believe you will be back tomorrow for some programs as well. So again, thank you guys very much for coming, and see you next time. Bye, everybody.